It's time for a new thing, yeah. It's time for a new way to look at it. Turn on.
Hey everybody, it's Brad Ross from MakeMagicMoney.com and welcome to Thanksgiving 2012. I actually just got back a little while ago from having dinner with my family, a wonderful turkey dinner, all the trimmings, had a great time, definitely filled. Be working that off in the gym tomorrow. And as I sit here and digest away, as I'm sure if you're here in the United States with me, you're doing the exact same thing, I thought I would share with you today's IFL 2012 takeaway, which actually fits in perfectly with what we're celebrating here in the U.S. on Thanksgiving, and that is gratitude, something that Thanksgiving stands for exactly. What is it that you are thankful for? Well, when it comes to gratitude, it's what we have that we can reflect on that we are grateful for. You see, if you've ever got caught up in the hustle and bustle of life, well, you know how much tougher that can really make things seem when we forget about what really matters. I can tell you that this is a theme that came up at It Factor Live this year, especially for me and many of the attendees here in the Northeast who experienced Hurricane Sandy just days prior to coming to It Factor Live. It was definitely a life-changing experience where I realized I needed to be even more grateful for things that I took for granted, things like electricity, things like internet that we use and run our businesses with on a daily basis. But we all have things to be grateful for, regardless of the circumstances in which you may find yourself in at any particular time in your life or in your business. And each person really does have their own unique list of things that can bring pleasure, feelings of joy, feelings of accomplishment, a sense of pride or comfort each day of our life, in our personal life or in our business life. And you can be grateful for physical things, like where you live, the climate that you reside in, even your residence. You might be thankful for certain people being in your life. This may include your kids, your grandma, your spouse, your best friend, your dog. I'm very grateful to have Merlin in my life. He brings so much companionship and so much joy for me. The most important function of thankfulness is that it allows you to open up your heart, open up your mind to goodness, to gratitude, and to positivity. And if you're unsure of how to consciously cultivate gratitude, that's what today's tip deals with. And actually, it's a multi-step tip. So, step number 1 is take 5. Allow yourself to give just 5 minutes each morning to experience thankfulness, gratefulness. This is something I go through with my personal coaching clients in my private success coaching program. Each week that we speak on the phone, I ask them to come up with 3 things that they're grateful for prior to us speaking, so that you can just take those moments to simply think about the past day, the past few days, week, or month, and say to yourself, one thing I'm grateful for is blank. Fill in the blank with something that you noticed from the last 24 hours or the last week. And think on it for about a minute or so. Smile about it, and then go on with your morning. This is an exercise that is extremely helpful, especially when you're preparing for your day and you're getting ready for your morning ritual or whatever it is that you do to get started with your day before you have your breakfast, before you set foot in the office or out to do shows. Just acknowledging 3 things that you're grateful for can be extremely rewarding. Number 2 is appreciate your world openly. Share your gratitude with others. For example, if you're chatting on the phone with a friend, you could say something like, I am just so glad that I painted my living room in that beautiful color of blue. The sunlight reflects on it so nicely. It just makes me feel so great. Another example is, I went shopping for my sister yesterday, and she was so helpful when I wanted to pick out, a brand new tie. She really helped me out. It's going to look great when I start wearing it during my holiday shows. Regardless, when your verbal acknowledgments to others demonstrate the gratitude you feel, you develop a habit of recognizing what it is that you're grateful for. Number 3 is notice the small stuff. And oh man, did I experience this after Hurricane Sandy. Noticing the small things that, again, we take for granted. Little things like feeling hungry and going to the refrigerator and realizing there's nothing cold in there and there's nothing even that I can eat in there because it's all spoiled because I've had no electricity for days. Little things like that, just getting a snack out of the fridge. We become so crowded with people and tasks and objects and to-do lists that you may feel challenged to notice the small little bits of wonder that happen in your day. But if you put your mind to it, you're going to be astounded at what you actually see. Open your eyes to the wonders all around you. It won't cost you even a dime. A sunset, a warm cup of tea, an ice-cold glass of water when you get home from work or a show. Those are the reasons to feel gratitude. The smell of honeysuckle as you walk by a vine, or your dog's kisses when you come in the room, or your daughter's smiles when you come home after a show. Those all should remind you of little things that many times we take for granted. Number 4 is learn to turn your thoughts around. When you discover that you're starting to think negative thoughts, imagine a giant stop sign and then say out loud, "Stop." And really say it out loud. And then replace that stop sign with an image of something around you that you're actually grateful for at that very moment. Think about that object, that experience, that person or situation, and then just bask in that positive experience. And I guarantee you, it's going to turn that frustration, that frown, it's going to turn it completely around, and you're going to feel much better about it. And finally, number 5 is keep a gratitude journal. If you're having difficulty remembering to notice the little things that stir your inner thankfulness, perhaps starting a little journal or a little notebook that you can even just keep with you in your car, in your office, on your person. A journal like that is tangible, and it's also a visual aid that will trigger you to think about what it is you're grateful for. Even when you think, oh man, I've had the worst day, my luck is just awful, there's nothing I can be grateful for, and you stop and you notice, this little booklet of paper, and you can look at that and acknowledge, wow, there are so many things that I'm grateful for. If it's your heart that's beating without you having to think about it, if it's the sun that rises every morning to wake us up when we want it or when we don't want it, whether it's the change of the seasons, whether it's your loved ones, your pet, any of those things can really turn your situation around. Just try putting the date on a particular page and then jotting down any things that you might be grateful for at that very moment. Some days it might be simple things, other days it might be for great and huge things. You can write as much or as little as you wish. And then you place your journal in a spot that you're going to see it frequently, like on the dining room table, the kitchen table, kitchen counter, your bathroom, your favorite chair, in your office. And then you're going to be prompted to experience that gratitude more often. And I promise you that being grateful is truly one of the things that makes life worth living. Each time you consciously decide to experience your thankfulness, you're going to feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Open your eyes and your mind to people, places, things, and experiences that you're grateful for. And I know that if you do that, as I do in my own life, when I look back at the opportunities I've had, being able to travel all over the world and meet people from all different backgrounds, I think about that and I do get this warm, fuzzy feeling inside. I promise that if you try this, and if you try and absorb some of this Thanksgiving thankfulness that we usually only talk about once a year, but try and bring it into your daily life, you're going to feel so much better about your life every single day, instead of just sitting around the dinner table at Thanksgiving saying what you're thankful for. I hope you've been able to be inspired a little bit by some of my tips that I've shared with you today from It Factor Live, as well as everything that we've been talking about this week. Don't worry, we still have a few more tips to come this week before we close out the recap of It Factor Live. But don't forget to join me back here tomorrow on Friday, Black Friday as we call it here in America, for an awesome announcement and our next It Factor Live 20 tip. So till then, enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving if you're celebrating it here in the United States, or enjoy the rest of your evening wherever you are in the rest of the world. And until tomorrow, I'm Brad Ross for MakeMagicMoney.com and ItFactorLive.com, saying do what you love and love what you do.